Hello, welcome home to Eden. This is part 2 of joining a men's team. I'm here with Christopher, and I'm so excited to have you here. This is part 2. So, Christopher, tell us more. How did you start this whole men's team
Well, I
thing?
started because I went to Sterling Men's Weekend, which is a weekend retreat program that happens 4 times a year, twice on the West Coast, twice on the East Coast.
Okay.
And then I did that, and it's really about kind of like reclaiming the masculine essence inside of us.
Beautiful.
And then I was on a point program, which is like teaching you how to be on a point program, like on a team with other men. And then I had done that in New York, and then when I came up here to the Valley, I kind of started my own team with a couple of men in the area.
Okay. So how long has your team been going for?
Well, we had someone that moved out of the area, but we were going. You set the time, so you could do it for 3 months, 6 months. It's probably good to do it for a 6-month period. Is a place like a time that seems.
Is that about how long you men?
Yeah. That's how long we did it for.
You did it for?
Yeah.
And then it seemed like when I met the group of these men at a party, and they were all talking about it. They were talking about, just things that you had accomplished, and watched each other accomplish and held each other accountable to. And there was a kind of a joy about it that I hadn't seen as much with men's groups. With men's groups, I hear this thing about very soulful, deep group of friends that have been meeting for like 20 years. But I thought it was fascinating that your team there was more of an energy about it.
Right. There's more like we're trying to kind of recapture the warrior,
the masculine spirit, right?
and the masculine spirit, and not kind of put the masculine essence into the feminine essence.
Wow.
In terms of like processing and having all this stuff, like that stuff is good, but we want to kind of be in action and going forward. Traditional things that you would kind of expect from the masculine role in, let's say, like a tribal society. So things that are like archetypically in us, but not necessarily out of us.
Oh, and you were saying this interesting thing about the team, that the difference between a team and a group. A group could be doing anything, hanging out, cooking.
Could be 3 random people on a street corner. That's a group of people,
right?
Technically.
But a team helps each other succeed, and that a team, you were saying, if you're in a sport, you don't have time for a whole lot of feelings out on the
right. Like a team is moving towards one individual goal as a team. Like let's say basketball, the Golden State Warriors, their goal is to win a championship. So they can have like emotions and side stuff. Obviously, they're human beings. But if that stuff gets in the way of the goal of the team, so it's really kind of teaching you how to work in like a nuclear unit, like whether it be family or whether it be with other men, work environment.
Consciously minded of the whole group, while at the same time having your own goal.
Right.
And this is also, you're talking about, it's a team that is helping you succeed with other areas of your life that may be emotional or spiritual or financial. For each person, it's a different thing that they're working on.
Right.
But the team is all there to sort of, seems like you were celebrating each other. That was the feeling I got.
I could totally see that. Yeah, we did. We mean like even for the meetings, we go around at the beginning of the meeting or pretty close to the beginning, and we go over victories that we've had for the week.
Beautiful.
So not just if we accomplished our commitments, but like, hey, this thing happened to me. That's awesome. Hey, I got like a really good client who referred 2 or 3 other people, or I made this bonus at work, or I had really great sex with my wife, or whatever is kind of like amazing that's coming
sex with
up.
the wife. Let's go to there for a second.
Yeah.
So we were talking about this area being an area where the masculine feminine polarity can be very lost here in Western Massachusetts, that is. And how does a team like this help the men's community, the group of you, in relationship with women? How did that affect your relationships with women, if at all?
I mean, I think it could make it stronger. It could also, depending on what type of women you have in your life. So if there's women who particularly are like afraid of masculinity on a primal level, whether it be to trauma or past relationships or whatever, there can be some discordance happening. Right. But I think, you're a better person to ask, because like as a woman, if you're seeing a man more in their masculine essence, I'm thinking, one, you're going to get more turned on, you're going to get more excited, you're going to feel more kind of divine dynamic energy oscillating between you and that man, or something will catch your eye about that man if they're in their masculine essence. If they're in that like neutered gray area, you're
Yes.
gonna not be able. They're not really gonna pop out of the background
That's
of
right.
your.
It's
yeah.
right. It's very
Yeah.
true. And as feminists who are working on the planet to, bring more feminine energy, but I call myself a radical feminist because it's like, what is radical feminism? Where instead of taking it so that women have to be more masculine to be in power, what is it to really, really just love feminine energy and being more feminine? And if you do that, you need the masculine.
Right, and I think
you
there's
can't do it alone.
with fourth
There's no
wave.
fun.
No, of course, yeah. And I think with fourth wave feminism, there's a lot of feminists who are trying to make it so equal that we were talking about on the first part,
Yes.
kind of taking away the edges and taking away the fun.
This is a big. I
Yeah.
feel like this is a really huge deal because why hasn't the ERA passed? Basically, it's women are blocking it, but women could have made this happen. I don't think men are out there. Don't make that happen. It's women. And why are we so afraid of it? Because we haven't. We want to be feminine. We want to love our femininity. We have not integrated what empowerment on our own terms means. We've only integrated in our mind that power is to be like men, and that at the same time demonizing men, putting
Right.
men down.
Yeah,
for
if you think about it
that
like
power.
that, it's a real psychological mind screw. Yeah, because it's like, I hate this thing and I'm trying to be like it at the same time. It's
Yes.
that's a lot of torment
Yes,
to be
it's
children.
torment.
Yeah, that's
it's
a lot of torment.
True.
Yeah.
And it's ruining the fun. What I'm really interested in, I think a lot of this show, for me, it's about the fun that people have when I go to other cultures. And this is where people call me racist. And I was like, oh my God, I am. I guess I'm racist and I can't get away from it. But the thing is, I notice it. You're Italian, for
I'm
example.
Italian, yeah.
Okay, you're Italian. Let's talk about that. This is
Yeah.
another culture. This is not the American standard that you grew up in. Can you talk to us a little bit about your Italian heritage and how that influences this men's team
Yeah,
thing?
it probably really does, actually.
It does, right?
And I grew up 100% Italian in a neighborhood in Brooklyn.
Oh my goodness.
Like
Okay.
highly masculine in terms of I have a twin brother. My dad has a brother. He has 4 sons. My mom has 2 brothers. So there's just a lot of masculine energy that was kind of fanning in the flames. So yeah, I think that really kind of galvanized me, kind of getting into this sort of stuff.
Support
just
you in your
definitely support.
masculine,
Yeah, and it's
right?
like when I kind of was doing this, and then I was able to see what type of man I was around other men. I could find. I knew right away because I was kind of always used to being around other men. I think the typical American upbringing is that the woman rules the house, and there's a lot more of feminine energy, and I've just seen that on different teams with men is that they have a harder time being in order, giving their word, connecting with other men. I didn't really have that problem
because
on my
they're trying
team.
to put their heart and spiritual aspects they're putting it through the feminine, as if they have to claim a feminine part of themselves to be that spiritual heart person, rather than they can do it in a
masculine way. Yeah, in a more gentle, yeah.
Woo! This is amazing! All right, that's part 2. I want to say one last thing because I want to ask you another question for a third video in a moment. But do you want to say one last thing to the men about?
Yeah, men, if you want to kind of have this be in your life, you can look up the Sterling Men's Weekend. They do 2 in each year out of New York if you're on the East Coast, and I think 2 out of Sacramento.